Let me
Should be.
know. There we go. Oh, perfect. I was waiting for that sound. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. I see some of you already have molds. I see Mia's got some molds going on. I'm so excited. If anyone's baking along with me today, please let me know in the chat. I think that would be great. But my name is Katie, for those I haven't met. And Rich, I don't know if I'm pinned. Can you come up to the top when you can?
Okay.
Oh,
Pin to your workspace.
oh, there
Let
we
me.
go. Oh, that's fine.
Do you want me to
We'll jump
spotlight you? I
we'll
can do
jump
that as well.
around a bit today if you can. Yeah, come on up to me if you don't mind. I'm just going to
All
show
right.
you some things. Hi. Oh, there we go. I need to see my face. It's important. And all these lovely decorations I did just for you guys. But welcome to class. Today we're doing fall inspired pumpkin bombs. But fun fact, this is also great just for making like your traditional hot chocolate bombs. We'll kind of talk about that as well. But these are so cute for Thanksgiving, and Thanksgiving is coming next week. So they're really fun. They're like a great little takeaway gift, a little party favor if you want to give these out. They're also great to bring to the office or just to enjoy yourself. That's good too. But these are really fun. And today we're doing this by using the 3-part mold. So if anyone has this, and I know it's a little hard to see because it's from Michael's, this is Celebrate 3-part molds, which are so easy to use. Mia, I see you're working with silicone. We'll talk about that as well. That's fantastic too. But the beauty of working with these molds is it just makes it totally fuss-free, totally foolproof. They come together in like seconds, so they're amazing. And we're going to use the meltables. We're going to use some pumpkin spice meltables, which I actually really love. I was like, oh, let me try these. Well, I love the flavor. And actually they're very tasty. They're delicious. I was snacking on a few before class, so that's good. I also have some white meltables. I've got some dark chocolate we'll melt and we'll decorate, the pumpkin bombs before I dunk one into a nice cup of tea or coffee. But it should be a really fun time. So Rich, you can come back down when you can, and I will give you a lay of the land of some of the other things I have here, just in case anybody is doing this along with me. Kind of check it out. So we talked about our meltables. We've got those. You can also do this with any sort of dark chocolate, whether it's couverture chocolate, compound chocolate. You can even use chocolate chips if you have to, although those are a little bit harder to melt. I've got some fun decorations. So like I have sprinkles, and these are just like fun little sprinkles that I had left over from something else. It's a great kind of excuse to use up some of the sprinkles that you have. I have a little Thanksgiving themed sprinkle blend. I've got some luster dust if you want to have a little fun. I know in the classes we've done before, everybody always loves luster dust. So I feel like that's that's always good. A little edible luster. And these I picked up from Michael's as well, which are really fun. They're just like these little leaf, cutouts here. Oh, if I could get one out. They're just these little sugary guys. And I thought these would be so cute. So I got those too. My daughter helped me pick those out. I also have to hold them up while I'm working. I have some ring molds. If you have ring molds, grab them and use them. It's going to help you just place your bomb so you can kind of drizzle your chocolate or decorate however you want. If you don't have something like this, a shot glass would work really nicely. Little mini cupcake liners will hold them in place really nicely. A little mini cupcake pan will hold them in place. So anything you've got to kind of hold them steady while we decorate is good. And then, of course, for filling, you're going to need something fun to fill these with. So I've got some hot chocolate mix. That's always good. I also have some instant espresso powder. So maybe we'll do like a mocha situation. And I also have some homemade pumpkin spice. So this is like my 3-2-1 pumpkin spice. I do 3 parts cinnamon, 2 parts ginger, 1 part nutmeg. You can mix that up with a little clove, a little allspice, anything you like to add our sort of like special pumpkin flavor. Although the melts obviously have that flavor as well. But we're going to dive right in. So I am using a microwave to heat my candy melts. So I've got some white that are already melted here. I'm going to switch over and I'm going to get my pumpkin into my microwave. So you're going to start this, just a bit at a time. You don't want to overdo it. You don't want to overheat. Not just because you don't want to scorch those, which would not be fun at all, but also because if you heat them too much, it just takes forever for them to set in the mold. So we just want to heat them just until they melt. I'm going to get these out of the way. And I'm also going to take my molds out. Let's take a look at these guys. Now I have worked with these already. So they're not like perfectly shiny as they were before. And I'll give you a little trick on how to shine them up again if you need to after they air dry. But you see they come in a couple of parts. So I've got my top and I've got my bottom. Do that 30 more seconds. top and bottom. So these are your two parts. So you can imagine they sort of go together and press to kind of create the shape of a half dome. And they also come with these little plastic guys that sort of just make it easier to kind of release them from the mold as well. So we're going to use those three parts. Now, if you're like me and you've used them already, I'm going to give them a stir. You find it that if you air dry these molds, they do get these sort of like water spots kind of start to happen. And if that does happen to you, whether you use a cotton ball or a paper towel, just take a little bit of vodka or any sort of clear alcohol and just give it a rub, and it's going to shine up your mold really nicely. The alcohol will evaporate and it'll just give it that nice sheen. And the shinier your mold is, the shinier your bombs are going to come out. So it is kind of important to give them a little bit of a shine before you start working with them. You're going to pop that in for a few more seconds, and then we're going to be ready to fill. Now, when you're working with these molds, you're going to see it's going to say top, and one is going to say bottom. The top is going to go down first. The bottom is going to go on top. You'll notice they put together pretty nice. So it's pretty easy to figure out which is which. So you see my candy melts have almost completely melted. I've got like a couple of chunks. I'm just giving it a stir. Do you throw out? So just like a tiny, thank you, Jennifer, for that question. Yeah, just a little goes a long way on the vodka. You know, we don't want to, hey, boozy pumpkin bombs might be like a new thing. You know, we could be inventing something very exciting today. If anyone was with me last week, I am recovered from my walking pneumonia, which was so fun. I was telling my mother, I was like, oh my God, I got into a coughing fit in the middle of class for like 10 minutes. So that was a good time. All right, so you see this is nice and smooth. It's shiny. I don't want to overheat it. The longer I heat it, the longer it's going to take for them to set. And if you're like me and you want to make a bunch of these things, you don't want it to be too hot. You don't want to be waiting forever. So as soon as it's nice and melted, thank you, Jennifer. How much am I melting at a time? So, you know, obviously you're only going to use a little bit for these molds. I just sort of threw in about a cup's worth of the little wafers. I'm not doing much. I'm using these cute little silicone bowls. But if you are making a lot of these, you can melt a lot. This is totally up to you. And I only heated I did about 30 seconds at a time. You could even go down to 20 seconds. Always err on the side of taking it out, giving it a stir, just to make sure nothing's scorching. And these are so easy to work with. It's not like working with chocolate. If anyone's tempered chocolate before, and we could absolutely do that in class at some point, but tempering chocolate is a little bit more fussy. You're sort of worried about the temperature. You're worried about agitating the chocolate to emulsify it, bring in the cocoa butter and the cocoa solids. Candy melts, you eliminate all of that. All you're doing is just melting it until it's all smooth. That's it. You don't have to overthink it. It's so easy to work with. They set up firm, shiny, easy breezy. But you will notice, so on these molds, I don't know if you can see here, but they have a fill line. So if you can see where my hand is, there's a little line halfway up, just a little ring around each dome, and that shows you exactly where to fill. So you don't even have to measure. You can just go right in, just fill it with a spoon. You could also use a piping bag, but I'm just going to the fill line. That's all I'm doing. This is like totally easy. The difference between this and using a silicone mold, the silicone mold is much thicker. It's a little bit harder to work with, only because you're going to need sort of multiple layers. You might be working with a brush and brushing in, letting that set, doing another layer and brushing it in. These are like just totally easy. So I filled to my fill line. I'm going to take these little cups. I'm going to push them right in. And you could see like already, I've got this really nice shape. These perfect little cups. And I did give it a tap. So you could always look at the bottom, see, do you have any air bubbles, anything like that? Make sure they're really nice and smooth. I push them in, and now I'm going to take the top of my mold and just give it a press. And if you're worried about over pressing, let's say you're like, oh my God, they got to be perfectly smooth at the top. You'll notice now that I pressed, I've got like a little bit of chocolate here. See how it overdid it a little? That's fine. You can err on the side of overfilling a touch, because when we heat these guys to stick them together and make a 3D mold, we're going to eliminate all of that excess. So don't worry about it. If you find that you haven't filled them all the way, you've got a little bit of a gap, give it another little press. Make sure it goes all the way to the top, so they're going to really set up nicely and be that full round that we're looking for once we glue them together. But that's it. I'm going to pop these in the fridge. This takes, I would say in the refrigerator, it's going to take about 15 minutes. If you're in a rush, you could pop them in the freezer. It's going to take about 5 to 10, depending on how warm your candy melts were. And I do have one that's ready to go, so I'm going to pull that out. Okay. So I've got one here, and I had to steal the top off, but check this out for you. So you see, when they're ready, they sort of just pop right out, right? And they do stick to the little cups. So now's where we're going to go in and very gently, I'm just going to use my fingers to gently pull. And actually, this is a very good point to make sure you don't get any fingerprints on your bombs. A pair of gloves is totally optional, but very helpful. And I'm just gently pulling away. I'm not forcing it, just gently working my way around, just until it releases from all sides and it pops right out. So you get these super cute little domes, which are so fun. And if there's a little excess, don't worry about that at all. Just leave it for right now. Don't touch it. And move on to the next. And what's fun about filling these, so obviously you can do different types of candy melts. You can make white ones, you can make orange ones, you can make chocolate ones, you can make any kind you like. But you can also swirl a couple of colors. And I have a couple of like that I did already. So instead of just filling with orange, I put a little bit of white in there. I put a little bit of orange. I just smushed it together with my little cup. And it makes sort of like a marble shape. This is where we're starting. So 2 of these are going to make a dome. We're going to heat them to seal them together. I'll show you some other ones that I've got. So here I've got the marble. And Rich, it's easier. You might even want to come to that top down, just so you can see. But it's a little bit of an overhead shot here. You can.
Let me find your camera here.
Oh yes, I'm so sorry, but yes.
That's okay. There are
Hi,
quite a few folks in the chat, so I have to scroll a little bit, but I got you.
So sorry. Thank you so much.
There we go.
Okay. So you can see, so these are kind of fun. So like this is the swirl, and I love the swirl. I think the swirl is delicious. But all I didn't even worry about swirling. I put a little bit of white in my molds, a little bit of orange, tapped it so it filled to the fill line, and then you get this like almost like a marble, like a little marbling effect. Just oh, I can't even find my own camera. There we go. Which is just so fun. I think that's just like a fun thing to do. But once we've got all of these, which we do, we're going to start putting them together. So I've got some dark, I've got some orange. You can get as creative as you want. I'm going to scoot these over to get these guys on. And if you are making a bunch at a time, keep them on a baking sheet like this and just keep them in the refrigerator as you go, just to keep them nice and cold, so they're not going to accidentally melt if your kitchen is nice and warm. Keep them in place. But so we have some options when we were filling and decorating. So I'm going to kind of melt a little bit of dark chocolate, get that ready to go. We've got our items ready to fill these guys. And we are going to assemble them first and then decorate them after. So I've got a little dark chocolate heating. I'm also going to heat up a pan. So in case you're wondering how to stick these together, we're actually going to heat these on a warm pan and fill them up there. I've got some dark chocolate. I've got some orange. I've got some white. We're going to make some cornets out of paper. You could also use piping bags. We'll talk about that. And so the beauty of a ring mold, I'm going to put the little one here. You can see when it comes time to fill, I can take my ring mold and I could just pop it in, and it's just kind of holding my dome in place. It just makes it really easy. But again, a shot glass, Some mini cupcake liners will do the job really nicely. Any of them. So I'm just going to set up a few. So I'm ready to go. My pan is heating. So I'm just giving that a minute. So I've got a nice hot pan. And once you start heating these, you have to work pretty quickly. So let's first decide what we're going to use. So I've got my hot chocolate mix. That's one option. I've got espresso. You could use any sort of like a pumpkin spice latte mix would be really nice. Anything that you want. And we are going to fill them pretty generously. These are very small molds. These are only about 2 inches, and you might have ones that are larger. You could use those as well. But for these, you really want to fill them up as much as you can so you get a nice potent drink. And Ruth, you asked, do you place on parchment paper? This one right here? I do, but that's optional. I just like easy cleanup. I'm a little bit of a lazy baker sometimes. Anytime I can use parchment, I'm like, let me just parchment it. But so what we're going to do is we're going to first heat the bottom, put it in our ring molds, fill them with whatever we want, heat our top, and glue. So we're going to do one at a time. So I've got my hot pan. And the one thing you don't want to do is over melt. I don't want to ruin that dome shape. So I'm just going to do a quick and get it out of there. Fill her up. Do our hot cocoa. I should have used a smaller spoon, but it should be fine. I'm going to add a little pumpkin spice just for funsies. And take my top. And just glue it right on. So if you could see that. It just glues it in place. You could take your finger and you can run it around just to kind of clean it up a little if you want. But that's it. We've got a dome. Ta-da! Isn't that fun? The pan just makes it really easy. So let's do another one of those. I like this marble guy. So we'll keep the marble guy. Pop it in the ring. Maybe we'll fill him with some espresso. Be a little hot chocolate. We'll do like a mocha situation. And you may, experiment and find certain quantities that you love. You may have a preference. You may just go straight hot chocolate. Whatever you want is fine. We could just clean them up a little bit. And you see, it does take a minute because the candy melts, they're pretty easy to work with. So they don't set up right away. So you've got a second to kind of adjust if you need to. See how they just nicely stick together. Boop. And you can imagine the same is true, whether you're making cocoa bombs. Here, I can make a little cocoa bomb. Heat up my chocolate. Oh, this spring mold is a little bit. Let's go with that. Got my hot chocolate mix. And maybe we'll duo it. We'll do like an orange and a chocolate might be fun. It's kind of fun. Just clean it up a little. And we'll drizzle this one with some dark chocolate. That'll really bring it together. Yes, and so what do you add to so when you're ready to serve these, so we'll do that at the end, but when you are ready to serve these, depending on what you put in there, like for example, if I was doing just cocoa, I would probably do hot milk with this. You could also just do hot water. You could do hot water with a splash of half and half and then dunk it in there. And it's going to be about, I would say like 4 to 6 ounces of liquid. It doesn't make a huge cup. Again, these are smaller molds. So don't go too crazy.
Katie, we have a question from Diane. She's wondering, how long will your chocolate candy melts stay liquid so that you continue to use them before you have to reheat them up again?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely depends on the temperature of your kitchen, makes a big difference. Here, I'm in New Jersey, so it's a little cool today. But you could see, I would say, I heated these up a little bit ago. and they're just starting to set. I heated my white before class. It's just firming up a little bit. You know, the beauty of candy melts is as you go, you can always just pop them right back in the microwave and melt them again. You know, versus using chocolate where it's going to throw it out of temper. Candy melts never go out of temper. They are always just ready to go, which is so convenient. All right, so I'm going to pop some of these and these just to get them out of the way. And I like the duo of colors we've got going on here. It's kind of fun and festive. And we'll just fill up a couple more, and then I'll show you how to make the cornet. You can also use a piping bag. But you can see, for example, I've got one that has like all this excess chocolate. So all I'm going to do is just heat it in my pan just until that excess kind of falls off. That's going to get rid of it a little bit. This one had a lot of excess. You could see that just gets rid of it, and now it's just a nice dome. Be my coffee. Can you melt the top and not the bottom? Can you melt the top shell only, not the bottom? You can, but you might notice, depending on like how much you heat the top, if you go so much, it's going to affect the shape. But no, I get what you're saying. Like, it's so much easier to only have to melt the top because then you're not risking getting any bits of the filling, you know, into the side. The only issue is I find that sometimes you end up with a gap where maybe, you know, the top shell wasn't perfect and you only heated the bottom. You may have a little bit of an issue there, just getting it like perfect. All right, so let's decorate some. So I'm gonna I'm just gonna do one more of these because it'll be cute with the orange, and then we'll move on.
How much does one bomb make again, Katie?
So one bomb is only going to make about one mold, you mean, or like how much in a cup for one? Explain.
Let's see what they say. I'm assuming that they're thinking, how much does it make?
Yes. So I would say about 4 to 6 ounces of liquid. It's a pretty small cup. So for example, I've got like a cute mug here. I'm probably only going to fill, this is like a standard size mug. I'm probably only going to fill it about 2/3 of the way with liquid. You know, it depends how potent you like your hot chocolate, but if you do like, you know, whether you're using hot chocolate or you're using coffee or anything you're filling these with, if you do like a really strong brew, I would say to use a larger size mold. I'm using the 2-inch size mold. But that is totally up to you in terms of like how strong you want it to be. But a nice, you know, like a teacup or a small mug would be perfect. So let me show you how to make a cornet. So we are going to drizzle these with chocolate. Now you can absolutely use piping bags. I like for a chocolate drizzle, I like just whipping out a paper cornet because I find them very easy to work with. And I actually, Maria, so I melt the bottom and I melt the top. Or do both. So I've got a sheet of parchment. And if you've never done this before, this is really fun. You take a small rectangle of parchment paper, and this is a little origami style. I'm just going to fold it over, just so I make these sort of 2 triangles. I'm going to cut that. Now I've got 2 triangles ready to go, one flat side, one pointy. I'm going to hold it up. So I've got my flat side over here. And I'm going to pinch and turn. And I end up like this. Once you're like this, I'm going to fold this in. I'll hold it in place. And I've got, this is called a paper cornet. So you're ready to fill this with melted chocolate. And we're going to use that to drizzle. I'll do that one more time. I'm going to stand this up so I can fill it really easily. So again, I've got my triangle, and this might be easier on the top down, Rich, if you don't mind. Fine, girl. Okay, so I've got my flat, I've got my pointy. I'm going to pinch right in the middle. And and just roll it in on itself, make like a cone shape. Once it gets there, I'm going to tighten it up a little bit and just fold it over. And I've got a cute little cornet ready to fill. So this is great. If you ever run out of piping bags or you're only doing a small amount of drizzle like I am right now for the chocolate, don't waste the piping bag. Just a little bit of parchment paper goes along with it. Let's get some of these out of the way here. So my orange is still a little melty. My chocolate is good. My white has solidified. So as we talked about, you could just pop these right back in the microwave. Give the orange and the white a couple of seconds in there just to warm them up and get your sprinkles ready for anything else you want to decorate with. There we go. And I'm going to take some of my dark chocolate and just fill my cornet with it. And what's nice about these is you've got a nice clean edge. You just fold it to close. And I've got like a cute little piping bag just ready to work with. You could trim as tiny of a hole as you want. And the tinier hole you use, the better your bombs are going to look. They're going to look fancier the smaller your hole is. All right, let's give our chocolates a bit of a stir. Yeah, that's pretty good. Put him aside. Come on in. Perfect. Oh, thanks, Maria. Ooh, look at me. I was looking at you guys. Okay. Ooh. So again, the smaller the hole, the better these are going to look. So really, really tiny. You can always cut more. You can't take it away. So I did like the tiniest little hole, if you could see, and you could always give it a test. Just make sure it's really delicate. That's the best. So the more delicate you could be, the better. Now, if I take this, all I'm going to do is just drizzle it back and forth, just to make a really beautiful finish. And what's fun about the two-tone is, like, you've got dark on the bottom, you've got white on the top, you've got this pretty two-tone. You could decorate with any sort of decoration, even like a pinch of the pumpkin spice can be nice, just to kind of bring home that idea of the pumpkin spice bomb. On some of them we could do sprinkles. Here I've got orange and white. I'll take a little bit of my orange. Again, as small as you can. Test it. Candy melts are always a little bit thicker than chocolate. Just over a little bit, because I don't want to hide my marbling. And then maybe like a little bit of gold. Something a little classy, kind of fun. And you can see, you can make like a whole jewel box full of these. You could put them in like a really fun box, share them with friends. Push, 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 push. Just back and forth. Let's do some of these. These are fun and festive. These I actually had for New Year's, but I think they work nicely for this. And we'll do one with the leaf, which we could just glue right on. We'll do a little bit of orange and then glue our leaf decoration with our candy melts. This one looks cute.
Jennifer's wondering if we could use the squeeze bottles that we find at the candy melt section at Michael's. Do you think those would work?
Well, it's hard for this specific purpose. I would say squeeze bottles, first of all, they're going to be very hard to clean out once you're done. So this is like the beauty of a cornet is you have no waste at all. Once this is done, I could just take it right out of the bag and I can reuse these candy melts as much as I want to. I can also cut like a really small hole versus, you know, any sort of squeeze bottle. It's a little harder to control It's a little harder to get that really, really tiny hole that you might be looking for this. But they are great for other purposes. I would say for this specific, I like either a piping bag or a cornet would be my go-to. This is kind of fun. I like this. What do you guys think? I love these little leaves. If you can get your hands on these little leaves, they're so fun. We've probably got a few left over there. And we'll do one with a mix. We'll do some dark. We'll do some pumpkin. Now we've got this sort of two-tone that's pretty. So when you're ready to package these up, definitely keep them refrigerated until you're ready. That's going to set up the topping really nicely. After that point, and now I made such a mess. This was such an interesting choice I made. Once you're ready to package, once they're set, you can put them in any sort of cellophane bags would be really nice. And I do have one of those. Although my molds are not, my thumbs are not quite set, but we can pretend that they are. We could go with it. But if you do have a variety like this, I like even the idea of like a little window cake box or something cute with like a little Thanksgiving themed tissue paper. And that way everybody gets like a nice variety pack, which is just so cute. But this one actually set up really quickly. The candy melts set up so fast. But whenever you're packaging, always wear gloves. That's always a must because you don't want to get fingerprints on your cellophane bags. I've got a little bag here. I've got some ribbon. I found these at Michael's and I thought they were so cute. I was like, oh, that's such a Thanksgiving ribbon. But I do like the mini cupcake liners just to kind of hold them in place. Definitely not a, oh, thanks. Thanks, Diane. You know, you don't have to use the liner, but it is nice to keep them in place. This bag is like such a perfect fit for this, but I gotta coax it in a little bit here. Come with me. And they do also have for the larger bombs. I know they've got like these special candy bomb boxes, which are very cute as well. But just like a cute little bag, it's so fun. And then use your ribbon, which I cannot tie ribbon with gloves. So this one is just going to have my fingerprints on it. And I do love the two-tone ribbon. I think that's so cute. And I've got some water heating up, some boiling water in my teapot, just so you could see what they're like when they melt. Cute little bow. Like a little gift tag on it. So sweet. Like you could give that to like a little teacher gift. They're so fun. They're so cute. Well, let me grab my teapot. Hello, teapot. And I've got my cute little mug. So you could tell whoever you're giving them to, and you could also just include like a little gift tag. But choose any bomb you want. I put a little bit of hot water in first, just to start it melting. And again, I'm only going to fill this about 2/3 of the way. Pop it right in there. You can see the hot water is going to hit it. It's going to start to melt. Give it a little stir. You can also put little mini marshmallows in here. Oh, it smells good. Oh, that's nice. And what's nice about the candy melts is obviously they sweeten the drink a little, but if you use the pumpkin spice, you also get that flavor. And that's it. You just got like a cute little hot chocolate ready to go. What do you guys think? Any questions? This is such a fast class today because these are so fast. Well, what do you think? Yummy. Jennifer says yummy. Are you guys ready to make some of these? For Christmas, you can make some with the red candy melts, the green you can drizzle, holiday sprinkles. They're so much fun. But thank you guys so much for joining me today. This was a lovely treat. I do enjoy a nice hot beverage on a rainy day, so thank you for that. I hope you come by next week. I've got a really fun class next week. Oh, Ruth, so do they have small boxes to buy? They do. They have like little candy bomb boxes. Why do I keep saying candy bomb? Cocoa bomb boxes that have a little window, and those are so cute too. You definitely buy those, but they are for the larger bombs. Yes, Linda, I would need a bigger bomb. Yes, you would. And how long will they last in the fridge? So I would say like make sure you're putting them in an airtight container. Obviously they're pretty sealed. We've coated it with chocolate all the way around, so there's no, issue with any moisture getting into your filling or anything like that. So that's great. But definitely an airtight container just to be safe. I would say 2 weeks, 3 weeks in your fridge. They'll last a really long time because they're just chocolate and cocoa filling. So really nothing can go wrong there. So you've got a nice long shelf life. You could also freeze them if you want to, if you're nervous about it, or if you have more space in your freezer, that's great too. And the pumpkin spice mixture, so I used, depending on what you like, I did instant espresso as one. I did cocoa filling, instant cocoa for the other. For my pumpkin spice, I always do 3, 2, 1. I don't buy pumpkin spice because it seems like a waste. But I do 3 parts cinnamon, 2 parts ground ginger, 1 part ground nutmeg. And that is my pumpkin spice mix. But next week on Monday, we've got leaf cookies that are really cute. Thank you, Zoe. I am feeling better. Leaf cookies that are really cute, different colored leaf cookies, just sugar cookies that are so delicious. We'll dip them in chocolate or candy melts or anything like that and decorate them. Those are really pretty. And then in December, some really good Christmas classes, a gingerbread workshop. If you want to bring the whole family for that, definitely welcome. That'd be so much fun. And some other really fun Christmas classes and things like that. Can you use filling to eat just as a candy without hot water? Yeah, these are great candy molds. You could fill them with ganache. They're a little large. They're larger than your typical truffle, that's for sure. But this would work for making truffles if you buy smaller molds. You could fill them with ganache, caramel, any sort of filling that you like. You could definitely do that too. Yes, and happy Thanksgiving. Thank you so much. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone. Thank you so much. Yes, and Christmas tree cupcakes, which are so fun, using ice cream cones. And we'll pipe some really fun Christmas tree designs and things like that. Those are so nice. Yeah. Thank you guys. Have a great holiday. Thank you so much. See you on Monday. If you're here with me on Monday, see you then. Have a great weekend. Thank you.